Welcome to a fun-filled, fantastic adventure in American history presented by Travel Schooling with your hosts,
Alexander and my dad,
Scotty MacScott, at your service. It's nice to see everyone here in our endeavor to present all the 40 episodes of Liberty's Kids.
and with the Boston Tea Party
Yes.
today's episode.
Cheers.
Here.
You know, you can put your pinky up if you're so talented when you drink your tea. Apparently, it's the proper thing to do. So, considering that we were British citizens at this time, we'll learn a little bit of their culture and their habits. But in truth, I'm drinking coffee. It's the best new thing in the British Empire. Coffee houses are just starting to spring up. But I've digressed. How have you been?
I've been good this week.
Very nice. Very nice. Me too. Well, jumping into today's episode, we already mentioned it's the Boston Tea Party. But since we are talking about American history, I did want to go back into history and give everyone a recap of what we have experienced here in the North American continent in 30 seconds or less. There was a mile of ice all over Boston, New York. Couldn't get in 15, 20,000 years ago. That went up north. The Indians and Native Americans came in from the west. 1,000 years ago, the Vikings came in from the east. 500 years ago, the world was split in half between the Spanish and the Portuguese. They didn't even invite the English or the French into this party. They split it up. And basically, the Spanish got a wee bit of Western Africa and all of Central and South America, as well as America, what they could keep, but they settled down on where all the gold and silver was. Portugal pretty much got the rest of Africa, and then going into the Middle East and most of Asia as well. This would become important later on. But then 100 years later, 1600s, now we have the settlements. That's when pretty much we start getting all of the different colonies being created by the different empires of Europe. And then jump ahead another 160 years into the 1760s. And that is when the British Empire is starting to think, oh, isn't it a lovely idea? Those rapscallions who have been living off the lamb in the wilderness for the last 160 years, tending to all their own affairs, taxing themselves, governing themselves, of course, with the royal governor in charge, and he's the king's appointee, so he is controlling everything. But now, they've been living it too large there on the frontier. We're going to tax them.
With the Boston Tea Party.
Right. There's a tax on tea. So this is really the first time in the history of North America that a foreign government is going to tax us. Now, it is our government. We are loyal royal subjects to the British Empire. But the problem is that we, here in the colonies, do not have any representatives over in Parliament. By the way, what is Parliament?
You know that.
Yes, I do. It's the governing body over in England. Our governing body is called Congress. But theirs is called Parliament. It's their legislative branch. Who's the head of the British Empire? Who's the one person?
King of England.
Yes, it's good to be the king. The king. But we don't have a king in this country now. What do we have? In this country? No.
I know, that's for London.
Right. Yes. Yeah. The London.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking modern England now. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
She passed away, though. Do you know about that?
Oh,
Queen of England. She passed away.
old age.
Yeah. Old age.
The queen in London.
Yes.
And the other one passed away.
Yes.
Old age.
So sad. Yes. That's what happens when you have old rulers. They die. So, okay, moving on. That was part of our vocabulary that we were running through.
Yay!
Yay. Some of the other vocabulary. What is a colony? You have the country, which is over in Europe, and then if you have a group of people leave that country and they go to a new land and they set up shop, they set up a town, that town is called a colony. And the people who do that are called colonists. So that's us originally. All the people in Boston are colonists, and they're part of the British colony of Massachusetts. Top question. How many colonies were there in the British Empire? Take a random guess. When you hear colonies, what number do you often associate with colonies? If you don't know, just tell me. Well, then pick a number! Pick a number, any number. Is not a number! 13 is what we're looking for, but actually there were more because you got Canada. So
I was going to say 1,025,000,000.
1,025,000,000. Okay, so so that's where we are on the history. Now, for those of you playing at home, you also have the KWL form. What do you know about the Boston Tea Party? So that's very important to fill this out right now.
I know.
And also get your other answer sheets available. You're going to be answering them while the show is going on, or while the cartoon is being played, I should say.
I know.
But in the K section of what do we know about the Boston Tea Party? What do you know about the Boston Tea Party?
I know that they throw tea in the ocean because they don't want to pay attention because they would too.
I don't need to judge them. Why? But yeah, basically you are absolutely correct. They threw the tea into the ocean.
In the ocean.
Yes. And it was an act of political disobedience.
Bye.
Again, whole thing could have been solved. Just give the colonies some members in the Parliament, in the House of Commons, in England. But no, they don't want to do that. So we basically had problems ever since 1765 with the Sugar Act, and then later on the Townshend Act and Tolerable Acts. But that's all episode 2. We'll go into greater detail then. So we did not have a representative in Parliament, and by the Constitution of the British Empire, as citizens, we are entitled to a representative in Parliament, and we don't have one. That's the main problem. They basically say they can tax us, and we basically say, no, you can't, not without the representative in Congress or in Parliament. Thank you for bringing up the bell. So here's the plan. Anytime that you hear the bell, what you're going to do is you're going to pause our video and then start the cartoon. Not yet. And you're going to then stop the cartoon or pause the cartoon when Sarah and James meet on the ship. And that's when they meet for the very first time. And then James is like, "You're Sarah Phillips!" So that's when you pause the cartoon and it come back to us. We're going to then answer the questions. I believe it's 1 through 7 you should be able to answer during this part of the video. Bell, please. Thank you. Thank you again. Okay, so the first 7 questions.
Yay!
Where was Sarah planning on going?
Philadelphia.
Right. What happened to her ship?
He accidentally got carried away by a storm, and the captain was like, "No, I'm not doing it." And then she went to Boston.
Nice, she went to Boston. Cool. Which was the largest city in the British Empire? You live in the state. New York! Woohoo! About 20,000 people in New York.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 20,000 people live in New York City about the
I
time.
thought there was 1 million.
No, that was much later. Philadelphia was the second largest. So they were coming in at about 15 or so.
Yay.
Now, remember Sam Adams, not the dog, but the Patriot.
The dog.
Not the dog. We had a dog, rescue dog named Sam Adams for a couple of weeks. It was kind of fun.
I miss him.
Yeah, it was a nice dog. What was he complaining about? Not the dog. What was Sam Adams complaining about when he was
Tea taxes.
Tea taxes, exactly. No vote, no tax. You can't tax us if we don't have a vote. And what else? Remember anything else that he was complaining about?
No taxation without representation.
No taxation without representation. That is perfect. And the Boston Massacre.
Boston.
Have you heard about that?
No.
Yeah, in
Oh, yeah, they
1770, 3 years before the Tea Party,
They literally said that.
they literally, the British Redcoats shot and killed Boston colonists, innocent Boston colonists. Yeah, they were innocent, but no, please. They were throwing sticks and rocks and things at the soldiers, and the soldiers, fired because, well, basically they were itching for a fight. They got a fight. Some people died, but not the first people to shed blood in the American Revolution, which actually was the Battle of Golden Hill in New York City. But that's a different story. We've digressed.
Different story.
Yes. Now the colonists dressed up as what or who? Indians. Yes. Just basically everyone knew that they were not Indians. It's just plausible deniability. So you're not forcing people to lie. You're not asking people to lie. So anyone who saw it, if they were called in front of the judge and the judge asked them, who was down there breaking the tests of tea, you can honestly say they looked like Native American Indians to me. It was dark out, they looked like that. I could be wrong, but that's what they looked like. So the plausible deniability, that gave them that. What did they throw overboard? Tea, right. And so actually, this is the tea tax, on a personal note, to them, is actually a very strange endeavor, because the tea with the tax was cheaper than the smuggled tea being brought in by patriots, smugglers, like John Hancock. And so, are you okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. So this all started once again with the Sugar Act, Stamp Act, and we'll come back to that in the next episode as we kind of touch these things again.
Tomorrow.
And, you already said, Andre was yelling.
No taxation without representation.
There you go. Very nice, very nice. Still on the Washington, D.C. license plate. Kind of interesting. So now you are going to pause the cartoon again when what happens? When Sarah realizes that her locket is gone. Not when she loses it, but when she actually says, "Ah, my locket is gone." So that's basically when you're going to pause it again. So at the sound of the bell, you're going to pause our video and then continue with the cartoon until the part where Sarah realizes that her locket is gone. Ring us out, please. Thank you. Good. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. 8 to 9. Who are the Redcoats?
British.
British. Yes, British. Who? The British Plumbing Association?
No, British soldiers.
British soldiers. Yes. And if you really don't like the Redcoats, call them a lobster back. Lobster backs.
For you?
Yeah, because actually lobster was the poorest of the poor man's food. Seriously, look at a lobster. Do you basically go like, that thing looks like it tastes good? No, they're horrible little multi-alien things that are walking on the ground. Yeah, in the 18th century, if you ate lobster, you would hide your shells. You wouldn't put them in there. You don't want people knowing you ate lobster. Better go get a clam, get a mussel, go out there into the low tide and pick up that stuff. A lobster was poor man's food. So call them lobster backs instead of redcoats. I really don't like that. And then Sarah. She is shocked to learn about Phyllis Wheatley's predicament. What is Phyllis Wheatley's story? What do you remember about Phyllis Wheatley?
She was... Sorry, about that. I got the hiccups.
Okay.
She was kidnapped when she was 8 on a slave ship.
Nice. Kidnapped when she was 8 on a slave ship. Yeah. And by the way, it's the Portuguese who are doing that. So the Portuguese are the ones who are actually creating slaves with the help of warlords, basically, for lack of a better word, in Africa, African warlords or chieftains or whatnot. But basically, them and the Portuguese, the locals and the Portuguese, they're creating slaves. And then basically all over the New World, is tremendous need for work. Mostly down in Brazil. Most slaves went to Brazil, and then into the Caribbean, and then into America. I think it's only 3 million came to the colonies, where 12 million in total were moved over to the Western Hemisphere. Something like that. But nonetheless, she was stolen, and her freedom was stolen from her, and she became a slave here in the colonies. That's her story. So basically, now you're going to watch the video until the very end, and we'll come back and finish up the lesson. Give us a ring-a-ding-ding. Thank you. So we're back for our last section. Benjamin Franklin, who actually had, when he was younger, was a teacher, was taught by Cotton Mather from the Salem witch trials. An interesting connection to history. Benjamin Franklin was put on trial in London for being the instigator to what key event?
The Boston Tea Party.
Boston Tea Party. Exactly. He was an instigator.
My hiccups are...
Well, thank you for the update there. So a couple of more things. So a little bit of now that the show is over, and that was a little bit the smaller segment there, we will typically keep this flow throughout all of the different episodes, where we'll pause throughout and answer the questions. But now that we are at the very end, we need to fill out the L section.
What did you learn?
What did you learn? So give it a go. What did you learn that you did not know?
I didn't know that Benjamin Franklin was the father of lightning, creator of the lightning. I did not know that he was the inventor of the Boston.
Nice. Yes, he wasn't the actually inventor of the Boston Tea Party, and he wasn't an instigator of it either. There's just no one else that they can in London that they could basically point to and basically yell at in person. Benjamin Franklin was our representative there. That's why they blamed him. But it is really cool, the whole idea of the lightning rod, inventing that, because that really showcases America and what's going on. Because with the unknown aspect of life in the 1600s, we attribute a lot of it just to what we don't know and simply then say it's an act of God. So if your house is struck by lightning, what did you do wrong for God to smite you and strike your house down with lightning? But then Benjamin Franklin comes and he says, well, simply it's an electrical potential. Put this metal rod on top of your house and then with the wire down to the ground and then divert the electrical potential down to the ground. So ground it out. We're starting to understand life, just like we're starting to understand electricity at that time. So this understanding is really part of the American story. Because for 160 years since Jamestown, we have been understanding more and more about life, about the plants that's here, about ecology. We're just exploring more. And this confidence is instilled and becomes a part of all Americans throughout the colonies. We have the confidence to literally go out and carve our own life Yes? Okay, I'm talking too fast. So America basically has this confidence now from understanding more about life. And this confidence plays a big part in us standing up to the King of England and to Parliament and simply saying, no, we're not going to put up with your taxes. Even if the tea you're selling at us is cheaper than the smuggled tea with your tax, we're still not going to pay for it, because as soon as we say that you do have the right to tax us, that's it. Then you can tax everything that we have. And we don't want to give you that right. We want to have a say in Parliament so we can officially protest any ideas that you have in coming up with taxes like this. So that's the main quarrel that's going on. So please fill out your L section for what you have learned.
Please.
There are some additional discussion questions. We are always free to discuss more in our chats, so please leave a comment. Leave a chat there. We'll answer your questions. We're going to answer the one about closing the port of Boston. What that actually means. What do you think it means when you close a port? Can ships come in and when you into episode 2? So we'll kind of pause it right there. But the discussion about a closing of the port, it is tremendous hardship on the people. And it actually spurred a tremendous event. There was a day of fasting and prayer set about for all of the colonies in support of their suffering once the port of Boston was closed. This day of fasting and prayer was decided upon through the committees of correspondence and through all the colonies, and it was the very first time that all the colonies decided to do something in unison together, because each colony was like its own country. So this day of fasting and prayer in solidarity with their brothers and sisters up in Boston who were dealing with the hardships of the port closures, this really was the very first spark of the idea of America, of e pluribus unum. From many colonies, one country. From many people, one civilization. And that is the story of America. So join us for episode 2 as we go into detail about the intolerable acts. Those are intolerable. Any last parting words?
Thank you for watching. Alexander McScott and
Scotty McScott. If you'd like to follow more of Alexander's adventures, please use the camera and click on the
QR code.
Yeah.
It's called a QR code, not a link code.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. QR code. Do you know what Q and R stands for? No, if someone knows what Q and R stands for, please put it in the comments. Oh, and vittles. What is a vittle? What is a vittle?
I don't know. Please put that down in the comments too.
Yes, if you have eaten a vittle, what does a vittle taste like?
Wait,
This is what Sarah Wheatley was. Phyllis Wheatley was getting for Sarah and James. She was getting them vittles to eat. So if you know what a vittle tastes like,
please let us know.
yes, because right now the taste of vittles remains a riddle.
Oh my god. Hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. See you guys in the next one. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome back, everyone. This is the live tutoring session. We're really here. He's really here. Yes, that's right. We're really here right now. Live. We're here to actually take your questions, and we're looking over at the streams. You can leave a question or a comment in either YouTube, Facebook, or now in Twitch. We solved that whole month issue with them. So anywhere, and basically it comes to our Chat Central. And once in Chat Central, then we get to see your questions and answer them.
Yeah.
So we had a question yesterday about lotteries for taxes. I remember that question. And simple answer, no. Was there ever a tax by lottery? Again, not that I can recall. Taxation was handled on a local and colony level. So there could be instances of taxation by lottery, but in truth, taxation is done on, you tax more of a process. So you can tax trade. That's the process. You can tax also stuff that you have. So you can tax property. The more property you have, like the more land you have, the more tax you have to pay. I have heard of some instances where they taxed the size of your windows. So places like that had smaller windows because they didn't want to pay the window tax. Figuring, the more windows you had, the bigger the windows, so the more money you had, and the more you can afford to pay your tax. So they did it in different ways like that. But who can actually vote for these taxes?
King.
The king. Well, in the colonies, let's see if you could vote. You have to be a male. Are you a male? Yes. Yeah. Male. Male. Here we go. White. Are you white?
Yes.
Yes. White male. Over the age of 18. Oh, so sorry. No vote for you.
Yes, I am.
No. Okay. After you're sitting on the number 18. I guess I'm over 18. You have to be a property owner.
I own some property. I own that little house. Excuse me. That little house down by the rubber house.
Yes, you own the outhouse. Yes. Okay. So you're a property owner. You own an outhouse. That's just as long as you don't get mail delivered there, that's okay. And here's the thing: you have to be also belong to the Church of England. Yeah. If you don't belong to the Church of England, again, can't vote. So if you're Jewish, no vote for you. Oh, it's even worse. If you belong to different religions, not the Church of England, often you still had to pay for the running of the church. So I think they're called a tithe, maybe. So basically, even if you don't belong to the church, you still actually have to pay mandatory in order to keep the church funded. So in some places. So that's so you have to be a white male over the age of 18 who owns property and belongs to the Church of England. So that's who can vote. And if you take away the votes of those guys, then those guys, which is kind of like the 3% of society, and it's about the same in London as it is here in, for example, New York, about 3% of the population could vote. So when they say no taxation without representation, in effect, what you're doing is you're treating the 3% elite of society, today we refer to them as the 1%, and you're treating them like the rest of society, like the 97%. And they didn't like that. But that is the whole idea of no taxation without representation. It did actually catch wind, that comment. People really embraced it, partially because they could eventually own land. the American dream. Because if you were born poor in Europe, you're going to die poor in Europe. That's it. No upward mobility. That's it. You're there. But if you can get to America, often they would sell themselves as indentured servants to come to America. So your passage on the ship was included. Your food and lodging are included for a period of, could be 7, 10, 12 years, depending upon your contract. And then you're legally basically someone's property, and they could do whatever they want with you, put you to work, hard work, easy work, whatever it is. And then when you're done, hopefully for your contract, you got some money, or you got some land as well for you to now, go ahead and farm. And then now, once you have property, game changer. Completely different.
We have property.
Yeah. So basically, if you have property, that means you can vote. If you can vote, that means you matter in society. You know, when they have a town meeting, and if you can't vote, and they could be like, hey, Fred, listen, Fred, you don't even have a vote here, so why are we listening to you and your crazy ideas, Fred? But if Fred had a vote, they'd have to listen to him, because he eventually has a vote in determining the outcome. So that's why property was so incredibly important, and America had a tremendous amount of property, amount of land. Is this my land? Is this mine? Can I have this?
No.
No? Oh, that's your finger. Okay.
Wait, what?
So any questions about
Any
anything?
questions?
No. Yeah, no questions on the chat. So we might be cutting this one a little bit short. If somebody wants to just try a chat, say hi if you're there. Not really sure how many people are there. Maybe live American history tutoring is not that important. Kind of sad. American history. America. Best country in the world. An amazing origin story. Really. So many great things with our origin story. Just George Washington, our first president. He doesn't have any kids of his own. What better person to stop hereditary rule than a ruler who has no hereditaries or kids? You might call them.
To be honest, I just thought about that we'll never be friends with Russia.
And we'll never be friends with Russia.
During this war.
Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah, once you're at war with someone, then the closer you are into the feeling the negative effects of the war, the longer it stays with you. But we were at war with Italy, Germany, and Japan about 80 years ago. We were at war with all three of those countries.
Why?
I mean, total, like, why? Well, that's for a different subject. But the end result was, after the decades passed from the wars...
Someone said hi.
After the decades passed, we became friends again. Yeah, so now we're friends with Germany, Japan, and Italy.
Yeah, so if we get attacked, then they'll help us.
Actually, yes, because Germany and Italy are part of NATO, so we are legally bound to help each other. They're legally bound to help us.
Also with Ukraine.
And Ukraine wants to become part of NATO, but well, yeah, it's a little difficult because as soon as we accept them into NATO, then we're going to have to come to their defense, because an attack on one country is an attack on us all. It's kind of like the United States. If you attack New Jersey, New York is going to get involved as well. It's like, hey, you can't mess with New Jersey. Yeah, we'll fight with them, New York, New Jersey all the time, because, hey, we're New York. We got the better sports teams, the better food, the better culture, the better, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, we got the better over New Jersey.
I think.
But don't mess with our family.
I think Italy has better pizza than us. To be honest, I like that pizza.
Yeah, they do have really good pizza.
Yeah,
they do have really good pizza.
They're, very good. Yeah. They're, very good. Especially, when they put on, the green stuff, it tasted, so good.
The green stuff? Yeah? Spinach? Basil? Maybe basil. That was on it.
No, I never tried basil.
But we have Carrie. Carrie said hello.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you for chatting in on us there.
Coming from Facebook.
Yeah. So we have 5 minutes left for really just here to answer questions you might have about American history.
So I'm just...
So we're here for you. Hey.
Me too.
I'm going to have a spot of tea.
I'm gonna have a spot of tea. I don't have any tea. I drink it all.
Here's the weird statement of the day. Would you care for some spotted dick?
What?
Yes, it's food. It's British food that you often eat while having an afternoon tea. It sounds really funny. It's like a freckled...
It only
Richard.
sounds like a curse word statement.
And it does. But you're allowed to say it. That's why it makes it fun. And we're all about British history. Hey, it's their culture. Different people, different things, different words.
Man, I'm leaving.
Did you know slapping a person like that in the Cowabunga tribe of east-western North Francia land is actually an invitation to sell all of your belongings to that person? Yeah. I just made that up. Hi guys, joined late, but we'll watch the playback. Yes, thoroughly enjoyed watching our friends. Thank you. Thank you, James. Thank you. Same here as well. Appreciate that.
We're apparently going to end in 5 minutes, so if you have any questions about anything like through our Boston Tea Party, we're not even doing that today.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is the end of the Boston Tea Party. And we never found out what a victual tastes like. So if you guys know what victuals are, if anyone out there, does that make sense to you? A victual? I've never eaten a victual.
James, Willem, Carrie Kalitsky, please give us an answer. No, anybody else, please give us an answer today.
Yeah, what is a victual? What is a victual?
I have no clue.
I don't know.
I'm not getting
I'm thinking it's some inside of some animal.
Can I have some coffee?
Yeah, you want some coffee?
Yeah.
Sure, here you go. Exactly. You know it, and that's not happening.
I just did the hiccup. I have hiccups again.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'll try to scare you later on. Have you tried holding your breath?
Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 minutes until the show's over. Hold your breath until the end of the show.
Wait. That was the longest time of someone hold their breath with a female diver.
Yes. Well, they're down to like 6 minutes now. Divers, they can hold their breath. So 2 minutes once you're a teenager, and you should be able to hold your breath for 2 minutes if you have nice big lung capacity. You might. I do.
Can
Aha. Question for my students. Why did they call the Boston Tea Party a party?
I can answer that question.
Oh, yes, please.
Because they didn't want to pay the taxes of the tea, so they're like, hey, let's create a party of throwing the tea in the ocean, and we're doing this in Boston, so let's name it the Boston Tea Party. So they abandoned one ship and then threw it all into the ocean. So there's your answer.
I like that answer. That's good. Did you know that there were actually going to be other tea parties all up and down the coast of America with other tea ships?
No.
So I'd like to, for Lindsay, the exact answer to your question would be, who was the first person to call it the Boston Tea Party? Because definitely there's some marketing going on. And the guys up in Boston, they've been doing that marketing really for quite a while. You know, remember the Boston Massacre? Okay, yeah, some people died, you know, and it really was point blank at the edge of a bayonet, but still.
Some people died.
Yep, but I'll have to come back to you and find that. I don't know that. Who was the first person to call the Boston Tea Party the Boston Tea Party?
I think it was Benjamin.
It could go back down to the man who, Paul Revere.
Dr. Franklin.
Dr. Franklin?
Yeah.
They just blamed him for instigating it all. But he didn't really instigate it all.
Then why? Oh, wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Why did they all blame him?
Why did they all blame Benjamin Franklin?
Yeah.
He puts himself way out there. He basically was our representative for the colonies in London at the time. He was the point man to basically yell at. He was our diplomat. So if you have a problem with a country, you can call the country up and basically say, hey, I have a problem with you. Back then, they couldn't do that, so they had to send a letter. Or, just like you can do today, you call the diplomat from that country into your office, and then you basically let him know face-to-face what you think about the current situation. So that's what they did with Benjamin Franklin. He did set up the Committee of Correspondence earlier on, in 65. So he was part of the systems, and he definitely was a patriot in thinking. So he's not an innocent participant, but he's also not the grand master for all of these plans. Because really, Boston are the rabble-rousers, the rapscallions. I like that word. I'm trying to use that word as much as I possibly can. Rapscallion. Yes, but we'll find out more about the Boston Tea Party and come back to you on that tomorrow. So our time is done for today. Thank you very much for your questions. I love them. It gives us more to think about as well, and we'll definitely come back to you with the answer, Lindsay. Appreciate that.
Lindsay, that was a great question, actually. We will come back to you of the question that we got, that you were saying, like the exact answer thingy.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll come back with that for you, Lindsay, tomorrow. I hope all of you guys in chat, that you can join us tomorrow, watching.
You okay there? You still have the hiccups, right? Okay. So we'll just leave you then with our nice little thank you, and then have
Bye.
a good night.
Bye.